Welcome back everyone. Today we're lighting up the discussion with Coal India Limited.
That's right. Coal India, a Maharatna public sector undertaking, is the single largest coal producer in the world. They are of course pivotal to India's energy sector, headquartered in Kolkata, West Bengal.
They've just released their audited financial results, both standalone and consolidated, for the fourth quarter and the full financial year ended March 31st, 2025. The Board of Directors approved these results at their meeting on May 7, 2025. So, a very recent update for our listeners.
Indeed, and there's a lot to unpack here, from operational revenues to some significant notes from the auditors.
Let's start with the big picture then. How did Coal India fare in terms of its consolidated revenue from operations for the fourth quarter of FY25? And how does that compare year over year and quarter over quarter?
Okay. On a consolidated basis for Q4 FY25, Coal India reported revenue from operations of 37,824.54 crore rupees. Comparing this year over year, it's a slight dip from the 38,213.48 crore rupees they posted in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially, compared to the third quarter of FY25?
Quarter over quarter, there's an increase. Revenue was up from 36,858.62 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. So a stronger end to the financial year sequentially, but a bit lower than the same period last year.
What about for the full financial year FY25 on the consolidated revenue front?
For the full year FY25, consolidated revenue from operations stood at 1,43,368.92 crore rupees. This is also slightly down from 1,44,762.42 crore rupees in FY24.
Now let's switch to the standalone revenue figures. How do those look for the quarter and the full year?
The standalone revenue from operations for Coal India is much smaller, as it primarily reflects the holding company's direct operations and income, largely dividends from its subsidiaries. For Q4 FY25, standalone revenue was 473.43 crore rupees. Year over year, this is down from 488.05 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And the sequential standalone revenue for Q4?
Quarter over quarter, it's up from 416.01 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. So similar to the consolidated picture, up sequentially, down year over year for the quarter.
And for the full year FY25, standalone revenue?
For the full financial year FY25, standalone revenue was 1,594.17 crore rupees, which is actually an increase from 1,516.38 crore rupees in FY24. This contrasts a bit with the consolidated full year trend.
Interesting. Let's move to EBITDA or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization. How are the consolidated EBITDA figures looking for Q4 FY25, both year over year and quarter over quarter?
Alright, for consolidated EBITDA in Q4 FY25, we've calculated it to be approximately 15,896.10 crore rupees. Year over year, this is a healthy increase from 13,706.09 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And the sequential consolidated EBITDA for Q4?
Sequentially, it's also up from Q3 FY25, where it was around 14,531.43 crore rupees. So strong EBITDA performance in the fourth quarter.
How does the full year consolidated EBITDA for FY25 compare to FY24?
For the full year FY25, consolidated EBITDA is approximately 56,995.33 crore rupees. A slight increase from 56,367.40 crore rupees in FY24. So, annual growth in EBITDA is more modest compared to the strong Q4 performance.
Now, what about the standalone EBITDA? I imagine this will be heavily influenced by other income, given the nature of a holding company.
Precisely. For standalone EBITDA in Q4 FY25, it's around 3,211.58 crore rupees. Year over year, this is down from 3,437.12 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially for standalone EBITDA in Q4?
Sequentially, it's a significant drop from Q3 FY25, where it stood at about 9,711.43 crore rupees. This fluctuation is largely due to the timing of dividend income from subsidiaries, which forms a major part of other income for the standalone entity.
And the full year standalone EBITDA for FY25?
For the full year FY25, standalone EBITDA is approximately 17,148 crore rupees, up from 16,087.48 crore rupees in FY24. This indicates higher overall dividend receipts during the year.
Let's look at profit before tax or PBT. What are the consolidated PBT figures for Q4 FY25 comparing YoY and QoQ?
Consolidated PBT for Q4 FY25 was 12,873.19 crore rupees. Year over year, this is up from 11,581.57 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially consolidated PBT for Q4?
Quarter over quarter, it's also up from 11,792.42 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
What about the full year consolidated PBT for FY25?
For the full financial year FY25, consolidated PBT stood at 46,966.19 crore rupees. This is slightly down from 48,812.61 crore rupees in FY24. So the annual PBT trend is a bit different from the strong quarterly performance we saw in Q4.
Now for standalone PBT, how does that look for the quarter and year?
Standalone PBT for Q4 FY25 was 3,197.92 crore rupees. Year over year, this is down from 3,425.82 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And the sequential standalone PBT for Q4?
Sequentially, it's down significantly from 9,699.46 crore rupees in Q3 FY25, again reflecting the lumpy nature of other income at the standalone level.
And for the full year FY25 standalone PBT?
For the full year FY25, standalone PBT was 17,097.50 crore rupees, up from 16,042.12 crore rupees in FY24.
Moving to the bottom line, profit after tax or PAT, what are the consolidated PAT figures for Q4 FY25 with YoY and QoQ comparisons?
Consolidated PAT for Q4 FY25 came in at 9,592.53 crore rupees. Year over year, this is an increase from 8,530.39 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
And sequentially, consolidated PAT for Q4?
Quarter over quarter, it's also up from 8,491.22 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
How does the full year consolidated PAT for FY25 look compared to FY24?
For the full financial year FY25, consolidated PAT was 35,302.10 crore rupees. This is a decrease from 37,369.13 crore rupees in FY24. Again, we see the annual trend differing from the quarterly one here.
And the standalone PAT? How did that perform in Q4 and for the full year?
Standalone PAT for Q4 FY25 was 3,148.87 crore rupees. Year over year, this is down from 3,336.22 crore rupees in Q4 FY24.
What about the sequential standalone PAT for Q4?
Sequentially, standalone PAT is down from 9,646.26 crore rupees in Q3 FY25.
And for the full year FY25, standalone PAT?
For the full year FY25, standalone PAT stood at 17,016.56 crore rupees, an increase from 15,766.83 crore rupees in FY24.
Okay, let's touch upon earnings per share or EPS. Consolidated EPS for Q4 FY25?
The consolidated basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was 15.58 rupees. Year over year, this is up from 13.91 rupees in Q4 FY24. Sequentially, it's also up from 13.80 rupees in Q3 FY25.
And the full year consolidated EPS for FY25?
For the full year FY25, consolidated basic EPS was 57.37 rupees, down from 60.69 rupees in FY24.
What about the standalone EPS for Q4 and the full year?
Standalone basic EPS for Q4 FY25 was 5.11 rupees. This is down year over year from 5.41 rupees and sequentially from 15.65 rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone EPS was 27.61 rupees, up from 25.58 rupees in FY24.
Other income seems to be a significant factor, especially for the standalone results. Can you give us the figures for that, consolidated and standalone, for Q4 and the full year?
Certainly. On a consolidated basis, other income for Q4 FY25 was 3,937.22 crore rupees. This is a substantial increase year-over-year from 2,244.11 crore rupees and also up sequentially from 2,143.20 crore rupees in Q3. For the full year FY25, consolidated other income was 9,470.06 crore rupees, up from 7,969.08 crore rupees in FY24.
And for standalone other income?
For standalone results, other income in Q4 FY25 was 3,086.81 crore rupees. This is down year-over-year from 3,212.34 crore rupees and also down sharply sequentially from 9,547.58 crore rupees in Q3 FY25. For the full year FY25, standalone other income was 16,627.29 crore rupees, up from 15,332.38 crore rupees in FY24. As noted in the standalone financials, this largely comprises dividends from subsidiaries, explaining its significance and lumpiness. For instance, in Q4 FY25, dividend from subsidiaries alone was 3,049.90 crore rupees.
Thanks for that detailed breakdown of the key numbers. Now, let's talk about profitability. How do the EBITDA margins and net profit margins look for consolidated operations?
For consolidated operations in Q4 FY25, the EBITDA margin was approximately 42.02%, which is an improvement from 35.86% in Q4 FY24 and also up from 39.42% in Q3 FY25. The net profit margin for Q4 FY25 was 25.36%, up from 22.32% year-over-year and 23.04% sequentially.
And for the full year, FY25 consolidated margins?
For the full year FY25, the consolidated EBITDA margin was around 39.75%, slightly better than 38.94% in FY24. The net profit margin for FY25 was 24.62%, a bit lower than 25.81% in FY24.
What about the standalone profitability margins? Given the other income, these might be skewed.
They are indeed. The standalone net profit margin for Q4 FY25 was extraordinarily high at around 665.1%, and for the full year FY25, it's even higher at over 1000%. This is purely because the other income, mainly dividends from subsidiaries, vastly outweighs the direct revenue from operations for the standalone holding company. It doesn't reflect operational efficiency in the traditional sense for the standalone entity, but rather the profitability of its subsidiaries.
Were there any significant exceptional items reported in either the consolidated or standalone results that might have influenced these numbers?
Looking at the profit and loss statements for both consolidated and standalone entities, there are no line items explicitly marked as exceptional items. This suggests the reported profits are more reflective of ongoing business activities, albeit with the accounting treatments for things like stripping costs, which we might discuss later.
Let's take a quick look at the balance sheet. Any key highlights from the consolidated balance sheet as of March 31, 2025?
On the consolidated front, as of March 31, 2025, total equity stood at 99,950.69 crore rupees, up from 83,581.90 crore rupees a year ago. Total debt, combining non-current and current borrowings, was approximately 8,908.4 crore rupees, up from about 6,289 crore rupees at the end of FY24.
And the standalone balance sheet?
For the standalone entity, total equity was 18,070.85 crore rupees, up from 17,325.73 crore rupees. The standalone balance sheet shows minimal direct borrowings.
How about cash flows? What are the key takeaways from the consolidated cash flow statement for FY25?
The consolidated cash flow statement for FY25 is quite strong. Net cash generated from operating activities was 29,199.66 crore rupees, a significant jump from 18,103.10 crore rupees in FY24. Net cash used in investing activities increased to 10,076.36 crore rupees, mainly due to higher payments for property, plant, and equipment. Net cash used in financing activities was 13,308.50 crore rupees, largely reflecting dividend payments.
Speaking of dividends, what has Coal India declared?
The board has recommended a final dividend for FY 24-25 of 5.15 rupees per share. This is in addition to the first interim dividend of 15.75 rupees and the second interim dividend of 5.60 rupees per share already declared for FY 25. So, a substantial payout to shareholders.
What about the standalone cash flows?
Standalone net cash from operating activities for FY 25 was 1,171.48 crore rupees. Net cash generated from investing activities was 15,735.19 crore rupees, primarily driven by dividends received from subsidiaries. And net cash used in financing activities was 16,238.52 crore rupees, again for dividend payouts by the holding company.
Now, Coal India's primary business is coal. The consolidated notes mention there are no separate reportable segments. But can you shed some light on their production and offtake numbers for FY25 from the consolidated notes?
Yes, for FY25, consolidated coal production was 781.050 million tons, up from 773.647 million tons in FY24. Offtake for FY25 was 761.710 million tons, also up from 753.590 million tons in FY24. So increases in both production and offtake. For Q4 FY25, production was 237.690 million tons, slightly down from 241.751 million tons in Q4 FY24. Offtake in Q4 FY25 was 201.380 million tons, almost flat compared to 201.665 million tons in Q4 FY24.
The standalone production and offtake figures are very small, as noted in their financials. Let's move to any significant notes or events from the reports that our listeners should be aware of. What stands out from the consolidated notes?
There are a few key things. Note 5 highlights a significant accumulation of GST input tax credit amounting to 17,006.36 crore rupees as of March 31, 2025. This is mainly due to the inverted duty structure, where GST on inward supplies like royalty on RCM at 18% is higher than the 5% GST on outward supply of coal. This amount is carried forward. Note 8 is also crucial. It details the accounting for stripping activity costs. Following an opinion from the Accounting Standards Board of ICAI, the company changed its policy. A significant portion of past stripping provisions is being reversed and credited to profit and loss as other operating income in a systematic manner. For FY25, this reversal under other operating income was 2,881.75 crore rupees. Additionally, there's a stripping activity adjustment in the expense section, which was a negative expense of 4,105.52 crore rupees for FY25, effectively boosting profits. These are significant non-cash accounting adjustments impacting reported profitability.
That's a very important clarification on how profits are being boosted. Anything else on the consolidated side?
Note 6 mentions a Supreme Court order regarding levies by state governments for land usage. The financial impact is currently not ascertainable. Note 7 refers to a High Court judgment for a subsidiary, NCL, regarding overburden removal expenses being capital in nature for income tax purposes, which is also pending final determination.
And from the standalone notes, apart from the GST ITC accumulation, which is much smaller at 93.78 crore rupees,
the most significant thing for standalone, as we've discussed, is that other income for FY25 included 16,238.97 crore rupees as dividend from its subsidiaries. This is the primary driver of the standalone entity's profitability.
Now this is a critical part, the auditor's report. Both consolidated and standalone reports are from Lodha and Company LLP. What's their opinion?
For both consolidated and standalone financial results, the auditors Lodha and Company LLP have issued an unmodified opinion. This means they believe the financial statements give a true and fair view. However, this unmodified opinion comes with several emphasis of matter paragraphs and other matters paragraphs for both.
Let's start with the emphasis of matter for the consolidated results. What are the key points there?
The emphasis of matter for the consolidated results highlights: first, the GST input tax credit accumulation of 17,006.36 crore rupees. Second, the pending financial impact of the Supreme Court decision on state government levies for land use. Third, the pending determination of a High Court judgment on overburden removal expenses for a subsidiary. Fourth, that consequential adjustments for the above cannot be commented upon. And fifth, the accounting policy for stripping activity, the reversal of provisions, and reliance on management and subsidiary auditors for the technical assessment of overburden removal.
And what about the other matters in the Consolidated Auditor's Report? These often contain important context.
Yes, they do. Key other matters include the auditors did not audit the financials of 11 subsidiaries, representing substantial assets and profits, and one joint venture, relying instead on reports from other auditors. The results of one foreign subsidiary, Coal India Africana Limitada, were unaudited and based on management certification under Mozambique GAAP. Financials for 3 joint ventures, contributing a share of profit of 462.25 crore rupees, were also unaudited and based on management certification. One joint venture's financials were not submitted and thus not considered, though deemed not material. A significant point is about corporate governance. The tenure of 6 independent directors expired, and an independent woman director was not inducted for over 3 years. This led to non-compliance in the composition of the board and its committees for a period, and stock exchanges levied penalties. The audit committee was, however, reconstituted with requisite members from March 28, 2025. Other points include pending confirmations for certain debit-credit balances, specific liabilities related to CS equalization and other state levies and subsidiaries, and the need to ascertain completeness of MSME vendor disclosures and interest liability.
That's quite a list for other matters. Now for the standalone auditor's report. What's the emphasis of matter there?
The emphasis of matter for the standalone results is simpler. It points to the GST input tax credit accumulation of 93.78 crore rupees.
And the other matters for the standalone report?
The other matters for the standalone report echo some of the consolidated concerns. The issue regarding the expiration of independent directors' tenures and the non-induction of an independent woman director, leading to non-compliant board composition for a period and penalties, is repeated here. The audit committee reconstitution from March 28, 2025 is also noted. The point about MSME vendor transactions and balances needing full ascertainment is also mentioned. And finally, it stated that the quarter ended March 31st figures are balancing figures.
So, an unmodified opinion, but with a fair bit of context and caveats through these emphasis of matter and other matters. Based on all this, what's the overall outlook for Coal India and what are the key risks?
Disclaimer: we advise investors to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions. Coal India's FY25 performance, especially in the fourth quarter, shows strong profitability on a consolidated basis, aided significantly by accounting treatments for stripping costs and healthy other income. Production and offtake have increased year over year. The dividend payout is also robust. However, the outlook needs to be tempered by the points raised by the auditors. The large GST ITC accumulation is a working capital concern. The unresolved issues around land levies and OB removal accounting could have future financial implications. The corporate governance lapse regarding independent directors, though now partly addressed with the audit committee reconstitution, is a point of attention. Reliance on other auditors for a significant portion of subsidiary accounts is standard for large groups but worth noting. Key drivers will remain coal demand, pricing, efficiency in managing stripping costs, and the performance of its numerous subsidiaries. Risks include regulatory changes, environmental concerns, and the final outcomes of the pending legal and accounting matters. The standalone entity's health is largely a reflection of its subsidiaries' ability to pay dividends.
So, to summarize the main takeaways for Coal India's Q4 and FY25 results?
In essence, Coal India has reported a strong Q4 FY25 on the consolidated profit front, with improved EBITDA and PAT year over year. The full-year consolidated PAT is slightly down, though EBITDA is marginally up. The standalone results are heavily influenced by dividend income. Production and offtake are up for the year. The company continues to be a significant dividend payer. However, the auditor's report, while offering an unmodified opinion, brings to light several areas requiring attention. Substantial GST ITC, unresolved legal, accounting treatments for land levies and stripping costs, past issues with board composition, and the typical reliance on other auditors for a vast subsidiary network. The accounting for stripping costs has a material positive impact on reported profits, which is important for investors to understand as it involves non-cash adjustments and reversals of past provisions.
A very comprehensive analysis. It's clear that while the headline profit numbers look good, the notes and auditors' comments provide crucial depth.
Absolutely. Digging into the details is always key.
That's all the time we have for today. A big thank you to our listeners for tuning in.
Join us next time as we continue to track the pulse of the market. Until then, invest wisely.